That's not a misprint. Again, I'll point you to the only way God was able to do that was to humble himself through the cross, through the blood, through the resurrection. It had to happen first. Romans 3 says, now God is free to do some stuff. Do what? Be patient. God is free to be patient, not to kill you when he sees your sin. God can be long suffering with us. He can endure our disobedience. Why? Because the price for all the sin and evil that has ever been done by the devil, by the demons, by you and I, by everybody that preceded us and everybody who's going to come behind us. The price for every single sin allows God to look and behold evil and wickedness without destroying it. Does it give salvation then to everybody? No, it doesn't. The blood of Christ is sufficient. It satisfies God's righteous requirement. Listen, you got to understand something. Sin would have never spread from one creature to another if it wasn't for the cross. It would have started with Satan and ended there. Immediately, it would have never got to anybody else. Why? Because God would have destroyed it immediately. He can't look upon it or behold it. The cross is the reason why sin was able to spread throughout all God's creation. It allowed him to be patient. It allowed him to be long suffering. You see what's happening? Did it produce salvation for everyone? No, of course not. The devil isn't saved. The demons are not saved. Most of humanity isn't saved. Could they be? Of course. The blood is sufficient. But God, in his sovereignty, chooses who to apply salvation to, even though the blood is sufficient to cover all sin. That's the difference. Okay, why do you look on those, talking about the Babylonians, who deal treacherously and hold your tongue when the wicked devours a person more righteous than he? You see, God was teaching the prophet a lesson. Look at what he says right here. This is the key to what God was doing for the prophet. He was trying to get the prophet from thinking like this. He had it all wrong. He was looking at God from an unrighteous view. God had to correct his theology. And you say, wait a minute, he was a prophet. So what? He was still human. The only time the prophet was right is when he spoke God's word. Other than that, forget it, man. There's no right words and right thoughts that come from a human. None. Not even a prophet, not even a child of God today. The only time you and I are right is when we quote God. Otherwise, forget it. When you look on those who deal treacherously, sinners, and hold your tongue when the wicked, now he called the Babylonians wicked, devours a person more righteous than he. You know what God was trying to get him to understand? That right there, what he said, does not exist. There isn't a person who is more wicked than another person. There isn't a sinner that is better in the eyes of a holy God than another sinner. Listen, friends, all have sinned And the soul that sin, it shall what? Die. So every sinner get the same penalty. Every sinner deserves death. That's what God was trying to get the prophet to understand. Now, what else was God trying to teach him? That God's judgment upon the individual sinner is based upon their behavior. So you got two things here. You have a group, which is all sinners, and you have the individual. So everybody get the same judgment up here. But then God does something else. He brings the judgment down to the individual sinners. It's the sentence. This is the sentence. So right here, we are all found guilty. We're found guilty. Everybody, boom, guilty. Now there's a deliberation going on to find out how much punishment is going to be meted out. You see that? That's what happened in our juries today. It's the same thing. Where do you think we got that from? You got it from God. See, a person is found guilty of what? Stealing. Do they give him the death penalty? No. It gets down to what he stole. What did he steal? He stole a pack of bubble gum. Do you send that person to jail for 20 years for stealing a pack of bubble gum? No. No, I don't know what they do. Whatever the sentence is, right? 6 months, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, or restitution. But now you have somebody who stole, hundreds of millions of dollars, bankrupt companies and people. What do you do with that guy? Do you give him 1 month, 2 months, 6 months? No. See, the judgment now comes down on what they did. And God was judging Israel based on their own wickedness. If their wickedness wasn't as exceeding as Habakkuk explained it in the first few verses of this chapter, then God wouldn't have brought the Chaldeans. He'd probably brought somebody else. But their wickedness was so great, God determined that the sentences required to bring somebody who was even more wicked than they were to bring about the proper sentencing.